Oh, I think he might just want loves.
He's only happy when it rains.
He hates when it rains.
Oh.
Because his undercarriage gets all wet.
Man, let's hope the same fate doesn't happen to Shirley Manson that befell the Cranberries woman.
Yeah.
I think they're both Irish.
He sang a garbage song, and because they both look kind of like
I think they might both be
like
Irish.
little goth dolls.
Welcome to Funhaus. This week's episode is sponsored by Thursday Boot Company. Thursday has ridiculously high-quality footwear at honest prices that are constructed to handle our busy lifestyles. My name is Daniel. I've got Elise Willems, Adam Kovic, James Willems, and Benson Willems on the podcast today.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's pathetic.
What a pathetic.
Well, you know, okay.
James.
I was going to say, I just got to come here and do my job, and that's the best I can do. You know?
So Netflix is generally in the news for their disruption of the TV market. This week, they spent $80 million to keep streaming all 236 episodes of Friends throughout 2019.
They're keeping it?
For 1 year for $80 million.
Just needs something to watch.
Last week, they canceled Daredevil, which is their fourth biggest show, and then firmly planted their flag on Anime Planet.
I think Foggy got too big for his britches. Too much money.
Yes, for another sandwich.
Do you know what fourth biggest show means?
It's the audience. So they say, anyway.
Oh, okay. They said
These are the numbers Netflix releases.
And it could be anything.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
You kind of have to trust them, I guess, if they're saying
I don't know if they meant like budget or whatever, but okay. Got it.
Are they calling their acquisition of Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop, Anime Planet?
No, that was me.
That was you? Okay.
I thought that said Animal Planet.
Yeah,
and
I thought they were doing like a
Toonami.
More like a noon.
Yeah.
I mean, they might as well.
I don't know. Toonami there's still something beautiful about Toonami. I don't really watch a lot of live TV, but I was watching the Cartoon Network, or I guess, Toonami version of Attack on Titan when they were doing the dubs, when those were coming out every week. And I forgot, he's still there. Tom, that little robot.
Oh, yeah, the little robot guy?
He's back.
Oh, really?
Cool now.
Yeah. Hey, guys, it's me, Spike. I mean, Tom. Same voice.
God. Yeah. But putting TV aside, I want to talk about Netflix's original films.
Okay.
Because I think they've made huge strides in quality and scope from the beginning of this year, even last year, to now. And they've attracted some serious talent and filmmakers to the cult of Netflix. So,
is it a cult or just a way of life?
Same.
I feel like you're paying to rent your copies of The Office so Elise can watch it again.
Well, it's almost mid-level marketing, too, because everyone's talking to everyone else about how awesome Netflix is.
Yeah, but I don't get anything if I get a friend to sign up.
You get more Coen Brothers movies.
Tell you this, Adam, I'm never not watching The Office. Okay? That's my secret.
I don't begrudge you. I just begrudge everything you do.
True. Wise.
You were talking about movies, though.
Yeah, but
I haven't seen this movie yet.
You haven't seen this? I don't think you've seen many of these, but you're going to be our
I have
straight
questions
man.
because James said he loved this movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking fantastic.
Did you like it too, Elise?
I don't, inherently like Westerns,
Same.
but I loved this film. Like, I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do love Westerns, and I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea. But Western plus Coens equaled me being really stoked to watch this on Thanksgiving.
Well, the thing is, like, it's Western plus how about a bunch of stories of the West. My problem with Western movies, not across the board, but sometimes I'm like, this is fun. Then I get kind of bored of the location and the premise because a lot, like an old Western town looks dry and bad all the time. But because this is a compilation of a bunch of stories, it's like, well, it's basically if you're fast traveling around Red Dead.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, what about this version of a Western?
You
what
never
about
get
this
stuck
version
in one
of a
place.
Western?
One thing about Westerns is they're really long and slow generally, and they take a lot of time to build up their story and spend a lot of time on landscape shots.
That's true.
And when you're switching it up every 20 minutes, you don't have time to get bored with it, like I guess James does.
It's a compilation of short films and the very vignette style, a little bit of like connective tissue, but for example, like there's the one that you keep seeing shots of the 5 people in the carriage, and I mean that doesn't need to be set in a Western. Like that could be set pretty much any time. It's just the framing is the Western. So that's what I kind of like the variety. That was really cool.
I think pound for pound, like Coen Brothers are like probably my favorite directors in terms of like the amount of movies they put out that have a cultural impact and are also just amazing.
I think they're always very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, they do different stuff and the
Lady
oddball
Killers.
stuff.
I mean, that's the thing is they've had some real stinkers, but then they came back with like No Country for Old Men.
They
which
make
is,
so much stuff.
yeah,
Back.
that was sort of their comeback movie. Like,
No, but I'm saying like Lady Killers.
I didn't like Lady Killers.
You didn't like Lady Killers?
That might be their worst movie.
Oh.
Thought that was the joke we were going for.
That my joke was that I liked that I didn't understand the difference between. Anyway,
I just
That's
think
unbelievable.
them making a movie for Netflix, I think, is a great sign.
Isn't that cool though? That you can just go turn on your TV and watch a free Coen Brothers film.
well, it's funny because obviously there's always these like, I don't know if elitist is the right term for it, but there's like these perceptions, and they're starting to break apart. Where it used to be, people that do film do film. People that do TV do TV. But now you see people that are doing film are asking to do TV because it's a more consistent paycheck and has greater potential for like
The writing has gotten a lot better.
like game. The material is even better. Like it's got greater potential there. So it's kind of merging. But then it was still like, but not streaming. Streaming is
Well, I mean,
streaming is just kind of like for good TV.
that you
sometimes
would think is comparable to like direct like a TV movie.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But now like the streaming, which would be the TV movie, is like, oh wow, you know, Jonah Hill's got something coming to Netflix. Ooh.
Yeah, but then
Jonah Hill.
Then that same thing seemed to happen on Netflix with movies too, where they were like, "Oh, a Netflix original movie," but it's like, I haven't seen The Christmas Prince, but like, everyone I know that's seen it says it's good.
Enough
but
people did to warrant a sequel this year.
They were getting there with Bright and a few other movies where at least the audience was divided. Now it seems to be at least more, hey, the majority I've seen people said the Ballad of Buster Scruggs is a good movie.
It is.
And it was also, I know it was
Yeah.
in theaters for a week as well.
I think isn't that Netflix just trying to get considered for accolades? They're like, we have
yeah,
to go.
I'm sure it was probably a discussion that Netflix and the Coen brothers had where they were like, "Listen, we want to get Oscars, dog."
Yeah, if you want to be accepted at Cannes, you have to like have
Yeah.
But
a.
that leads to bigger projects of getting bigger actors and like, because yeah, you're right. Early on, it was they signed a deal with Adam Sandler, and we all rolled our eyes because we all went, "Who's going to watch that?" And of course, they have the data, and they go,
They know a lot of
they're like, our audience loves
Yeah.
Adam Sandler, so we're
Yeah.
going to do that. But at the same time, they are putting out stuff now that is being they're just getting everything, which is a smart business
I
move.
do think this is something that might not exist if it weren't for Netflix. Like,
Sure.
I don't think any studios would necessarily have made this movie. And put it
HBO
out in theaters.
maybe.
perhaps, but
Yeah.
even that, Netflix right now appears to be doing some of the things that a lot of like things that have been in development hell. I feel like HBO is also trying to do as well. But what was that book, that comic we both enjoy, James? Lock and Key.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Elise likes it too.
Did you? I've never talked to you about
I've
it.
read them all, listened to the
I've only-
radio play. But I might. I mean, I've noticed it.
I know James and I had a conversation about it at a gym, so I know
Okay.
you weren't there.
I definitely wasn't there.
And there weren't many clothes on. Anyway, Lock and Key is a great comic series, I guess you call it, graphic novel.
Is that Stephen King's son?
Yeah, Joe Hill.
Yeah.
Who changed his name so that he wouldn't be called Stephen King's son.
But here we are.
He's calling him Stephen King's son, as it turns out. But I think it's a really good graphic novel series. They tried to adapt it into a show, and I believe it was done through a network. It wasn't very good, didn't look good, nothing was right. Netflix is now adapting it, and it sounds like they're putting all the pieces in place that it's going to be a good show.
So it's the secret sauce.
Is it money?
Yeah. Well, it's money. There's certain studios that are so used to making movies and things like this that they'll get a creator and then they'll give the creator a project, but then they'll go like, they'll still be tinkering with it, right? Because they don't want to lose their money, but they still tinker with it. Netflix has so much money that they are doing the tinkering on the beginning. So when the Coen brothers agree to make a movie, they say, "Here's your money. Go have fun." They don't get in there and they don't futz with it. And I think that means the Coen brothers are going to go tell their friends who are also auteurs to come and say, like, you should do something with Netflix right now.
They'll let
because
you do whatever.
they're writing really big checks and they're letting you do whatever you want, and they never come by the set at all. Like, it's amazing.
I think that's the key. They're getting good talent finally
Yeah.
to make movies.
Giving
Yeah.
them creative freedom. To Adam's point, I do think, like, yes, Netflix is giving artists creative freedom, like Lemony Snicket, for example, too.
Oh yeah.
But I also
same problem.
I still think it really at a certain point also, especially for the TV shows, boils down to bingeability because I think Lock and Key will thrive on Netflix if they're the ones, or it's Amazon. But I think something like Preacher, which I watched the first episode of on AMC, and I love the Preacher comics, and by all accounts that show is amazing. It's just so out of my wheelhouse to sit down and watch that every week now.
Yeah.
But maybe when the entire show of Preacher or all the seasons of Preacher come to Netflix, I'm gonna sit down.
Yeah. Maybe also an adaptation of something maybe you've already seen in some other medium. Like you've already read Preacher.
Yeah.
You know, like I totally get what you're
There's
saying.
there's a lot in Preacher that I would love to see play out. Like moments that I'm like, because like even like Arseface, the way that they translated that was really well done.
Yeah.
It is Netflix. I double check with Lock and Key.
Buster Scruggs is something for me that not often happens, where I'll turn to James and be like, stop and rewind that and let's see it again.
Yeah.
Like not the whole movie, but like moments.
Yeah.
I think for me the first two bits were the best. The titular Buster Scruggs, which was Tim Blake Nelson. You see him walking around with a guitar.
You might know him as the man in the wheelchair from Minority Report.
That's it.
So another thing I think the Coens do amazingly is pull some character actor and focus on them. Some guy that's been in the wheelchair in one scene, or the keyboard guy in another movie, and they really let them shine. And they do that in almost every part of this. And I think those are some of my favorite actors, or the guys that probably don't get enough attention, like him and Stephen Root, who's the banker.
Yeah.
It was my whole favorite part of the whole thing was Stephen Root, actually.
He's pretty great. I had to put the subtitles on for a minute there because I was like,
well,
what is he? He's speaking so.
He's so in character.
Yeah.
I think like for me, it's just looking at it as an entire piece because of the variety. So like the vaudeville performer, for example, like that on its own, I thought was good, but it's just watching it in this Western, all aspects of what you think this time period could have had to offer. I don't know.
I also like that some stories are like 5 minutes and others are like 25. But they figured out which stories are worth it.
Well, I will say that was maybe my least favorite thing about Buster Scruggs was this segment.
Oh, really?
In Trouble. It just went on and on and on, and I wasn't too interested in it.
But to me, it's all about crossing the plains. And
I
so
get what they were going
felt
for.
like it felt genuine. If they had said like, "Oh, and that's it," like then it wouldn't have felt like you were on the journey, kind of.
True.
So
and it does build to a very, very satisfying end.
My
it's
favorite,
also hilarious.
My favorite one was the gold guy.
Tom Waits digging for gold. He was
that,
incredible.
Tom
That
Waits
one
is
is
just rad.
so fucking good.
Yeah.
Dog hole.
Yeah.
Dog hole. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, you convinced me. I'll watch it instead of watching the Cloverfield Paradox again.
I haven't seen Cloverfield Paradox.
There he is.
You shouldn't watch it because it's
Okay.
bad.
All right. I shouldn't or should?
Should not. You
Should I should watch it?
do whatever you want.
But yeah, this one, it was like 15 minutes of him by himself out in this valley, and it was riveting somehow.
it was
Yeah, it was.
He's
So yeah,
talking
but
to
I mean,
the-
again, it's like picking. I would like at least I would watch it again.
Yeah,
I would watch it
absolutely.
again.
Liam Neeson was great.
Yep.
Why has Liam Neeson got to be in westerns all the time? What's up with
Good
that?
question.
Because he's Irish.
He played against type a little bit. He was kind of scummy.
Yeah. He's kind of.
which is
I know he was in that Family Guy movie. What's his name? The Seth MacFarlane one, 1,000 Ways to Die in the West or whatever.
Oh,
Sure.
oh
He's
yeah.
also in that. But I thought that was more, that played off of the fact that they made fun of him in Family Guy. Like, could you imagine Liam Neeson in a Western? He's like, let's go over there to the plains. And then I guess it was like, hey, put me in your movie.
Yeah.
I'm rubber.
Chicken doing math was pretty great.
It was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's a good chicken.
I'll watch it. God,
Like the
okay.
ki-
I love the Coen
Not
brothers.
to-
But I mean, the thing is, this isn't. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Elise.
Just not to harp on that carriage one, but for me, that's kind of I knew where it was going as I was watching it. That's kind of like the dark, foreboding thing that I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the thing is, this movie isn't the only standout. There's been a lot of good
Yeah.
Netflix movies.
Back to other movies.
Elise was going through a list of them the other night.
It's
And
pretty.
you're like, that one was good. That one was
Well,
good too.
I kind of went through like
Cloverfield
the
Paradox.
movies
yeah.
that I've seen, and then not Cloverfield Paradox, but movies that I've seen in the movie, but then also the movies that like have buzz that I want to watch, and I'm interested in.
So I watched one just the other night. Something I didn't expect I'd like at all, but actually really enjoyed. And it had a buzz earlier this year, but that was To All the Boys I Loved Before.
Yes.
You guys seen this?
I have
Anybody
no idea
seen
what you're
this
talking
movie?
about.
I've seen it.
Tell me more.
Do you really not know?
No. What's this one about?
It's like a teen rom-com.
Mm-hmm. I love teens.
It's Juno for the post-millennial age.
I'm in. What kind of hamburger phone does she have?
I don't know. I thought it was sweet, and generally find children. These aren't children actors, but young actors not very believable. But several of the main characters I thought were just spectacular. The main girl specifically, I don't know. I should have written her name down. She was Jubilee in the really bad X-Men movie, but she's fantastic, and I hope I see her in more stuff.
Is this more of like an indie kind of like lower budget?
No, it was
I mean,
a
it's
Netflix,
medium budget.
Netflix original.
It's
It
like
didn't look
it's like a
expensive.
rom-com, a high school romantic comedy.
Okay.
So yeah, this girl writes letters to all the boys that she loves, just kind of as her secret way of dealing with her love. And those letters there they
She
go.
hides them all away, never sends them. It's just kind of how she gets it out there.
But somehow they get out there, and all the boys that she has loved find out that she loved them.
But it's from different points in her life, so then it kind of involves her in attempting to resolve the situation she can't necessarily go. She doesn't have a crush anymore on the boy she had a crush on in kindergarten or the boy she kissed when she was in whatever. Like but then she has to come to terms with those feelings afterwards and see how things shake out.
Gotcha.
It's a fun night for you, Adam.
Because
Trust me.
she's currently in love with her sister's ex-boyfriend.
Who
Yes,
was her
really
best
ex.
friend for years.
Yeah. So.
They're making a sequel to this. They just announced it this week.
Oh.
I'm excited.
But I haven't seen the first one yet. Slow down, Hollywood.
I tell you,
What's after love?
if you and Jess sat down and were like, we're gonna watch this, Tuesday night, we ain't got nothing going on. We got nothing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You
really
have
well
a great
made.
night.
I'm really curious if I could ever borrow the time machine all of you people use to stay in whatever time warp you're in so you can watch all these films.
You
Just
gotta
don't
put
go
it
out
on,
and do
dog.
anything else.
Yeah,
I
was
don't.
gonna say, there's that.
Shout
You
out
play
to-
more video games sometimes.
I wish
Like-
remember we used to play Overwatch and now we don't?
I'm still in the snow in Red Dead, but I've seen this.
I was also real happy to see John Corbett come back. I know him from Northern Exposure that I watched when I was like 8 years
Wow.
old.
Not My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
That's
no,
what I
I've never
said.
seen it.
Come on.
Never
You've
seen
never
it.
seen My Big Fat Greek
No,
Wedding?
I worked at a movie theater when that movie came out, and it made me hate it just because of the crowds going to it.
That is a surprisingly good movie.
You worked in a,
Probably,
you
but
worked
I
in a
can-
movie theater for a really long
I can
time.
irrationally hate it if I want to.
I want to say the through line is Jonathan Corbett. He seems to be no one knows who the hell he is, but he's he got super lucky with My Big Fat Greek Wedding because that was like an indie little movie and it blew up. And like I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times because it's like infinitely watchable. It's a really good couples movie. I don't know.
How was
I
the
really liked
sequel?
it. Never saw it.
He's
Looked terrible.
He's
This
also
dude's great.
a white dude who has 3 Asian daughters that all look different.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think
what's
I
that
think some
story?
of them are adopted, and it might not have been mentioned.
I
Maybe
think all
he's
of
got
them
a
are
thing.
But he's got a
adopted.
Greek wife.
I think.
Young Tony Danza is awesome.
Yeah, he's good.
He's
Cool.
fine.
I will
thought
watch.
he was
Okay.
It's a I wouldn't even say it's like a guilty pleasure because it's not that bad.
No,
You know, it's
I mean,
fun.
It's like
Well-
like a Mean Girls or like Clueless or whatever. Like it's not necessarily only for the people that it's about and targeting. It's
Not necessarily a
legitimately good.
classic, maybe like Clueless would be, but
No.
I don't know. I was
Well,
very surprised with the amount of fun I had.
I haven't
watching
seen 8th Grade. I've only heard that it's
Yeah.
awesome.
this. I think that might be more serious.
If it were on Netflix, maybe.
I mean, I've just
never.
never been able to bring
But-
myself to watch it because I hear it's a hard watch.
Well,
you know?
but I was also thinking Edge of 17.
Yeah.
Remember that movie came out last year or a year before? That was also a funny movie, but it still had like an edge to it, like the dark side of what it's like growing up as a teenager or something like that. Or Lady Bird. Like this is the light and fun, put it on and not sweat it version of those movies.
If you guys are looking
like
for
the Scarlet Letter one.
yes.
The
Easy A?
Easy A.
Oh, I think. Let's say right. No, if you want a really good like feel good movie, watch the film Bully.
Is that on Netflix?
It might be a group of friends, a true story.
Wait, is that the one with Tom Arnold and Rick Moranis?
No, this is from the guy who made Kids.
Yeah.
They-
No, you
A
don't.
true story of some Southern Floridan boys and girls, real tired of this one guy kicking their ass. So they just murder them.
He's being facetious.
And they leave them in the swamp, but then they get caught.
And after
any of
that,
them
watch
get AIDS?
Sleepers.
Did they get AIDS? at
No,
the end?
worse. One of them spills the beans to her mom, and she's also pregnant, and then they all go to jail for life.
Perfect.
You should watch Bully.
Sounds good.
It's a good film.
I recommend The Bully, starring Tom Arnold and Rick Moranis, which has something to do with the meteorite I don't recall.
Are you
Whoa.
sure?
Meteorite.
Yeah, there's like a
We
meteorite.
don't get those
in it.
anymore.
Hey,
what about
why-
Meteor Man?
Dan, why are they smelling a lacrosse stick?
I don't know.
Okay.
This was just on Netflix's playlist.
To all the boys I smelled before. Yeah.
Very strange.
This is erotic for somebody. I'm glad we're watching it.
Hey everyone, we'll get back to our discussion of the awesomeness that is Netflix and what they're releasing in just a moment, but I'd like to talk to you real quick about our sponsor today, Thursday Boots. Boots are specific and reflective of your personality. Do you prefer a clunky wooden boot or a fancy, delicate fashion boot? I tend to be tough on my boots. I really put them through the ringer, so I got myself the Explorer. It's a streamlined take on the classic American combat boot. They have storm welt construction, Kevlar blend laces, and a durable Vibram outsole, making the Explorer the perfect boot for difficult weather. These guys are badass. They are strong, they feel durable, and are extremely comfortable. I've been wearing mine for a few weeks now, and I absolutely love them. Look at these things. They make me feel like a superhero. They help me stand taller and straighter and give me a real sense of confidence in my image. And like any great explorer, I'll be prepared for whatever the world throws at me. Thursday Boot Company is a 4-year-old bootstrap startup that has been shaking up the industry by making really ridiculously high quality boots that they sell direct to consumers at unbeatable prices. Their boots are durable enough to take a serious beating and sophisticated enough to clean up for a date. Thursday boots are built for men and women who understand quality and want a good-looking pair of boots that will last a few seasons. Thursday boots are not only a better value, but they use better materials too, like the famous Chromexel leather from Horween Tannery in Chicago. With prices starting at $149 and free shipping and free returns, Thursday boots are the best buy for this winter. With their clean, timeless design and durability, Thursday boots will keep you standing confident and comfortably for years to come. While they don't do sales or discounts, head over to thursdayboots.com/film and get free shipping and free returns. Give them a try and you'll have a pair on your doorstep before next Thursday. That's thursdayboots.com/film. So
Don't these two look the same? They look like
They look
the
very
beginning
similar.
of the movie. They show one and then they introduce
Took
the
me a
other,
second.
and I thought it was the same guy.
Except this one, little Tony Danza is more jacked.
They
He's a
both
bigger
look
dude.
kind of like burnt out, like for 13-year-olds.
Well,
Anyway.
the whole ages in that movie was weird because her sister that was going to college looked like she was 35.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel bad for child actors or child singers because, like, on one hand, you're like, oh, how lucky for them. They got in early. But it's like, your life's going to be fucked
Yeah.
up. Like, maybe it'll be fine, but I don't know.
So I fell asleep watching The Other Side of the Wind because I knew we were doing this podcast today. I wanted to watch this mostly because I think it's interesting that they pulled forgotten, unfinished
yeah.
Orson Welles film
Oh, yeah.
out of bunkers somewhere and reassembled it into a workable film.
The story here is that before Orson Welles died, is the creator of Citizen Kane. He had worked on his greatest movie of all time, but then it was never finished, right?
It was never completed, and I think was in editing for like a decade. Like I think they shot in the mid '70s, and essentially up until the mid '80s when he died, they were still trying to cut it together.
I wish you could go and tell Orson Welles.
About Netflix.
Yeah, a movie you never finish is going to be streaming on Netflix.
It was very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got more Orson Welles?
What else we got? Rosebud.
There-
Rosebud frozen peace.
They have a whole doc explaining, I guess, the history of the movie, which I probably should have also watched. But
This might be one of those situations where the documentary is more impressive than the film itself.
That's how I feel because I have that documentary in my queue, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that.
the movie's a little rough. It's very, very strange. You could see him trying to be like 70s edgy, even though he must have been in his 80s by then or something like that.
But this is also someone else's interpretation of
Supposedly.
of Orson Welles being 70s edgy.
It was pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
But interesting. I think even failures from really great filmmakers are interesting to watch for certain reasons. I wouldn't say go out and watch it unless you're a huge Orson Welles or film history man.
But it is cool that you can see both, right? Like you can see the documentary and the
I think it's just cool that something that shouldn't exist and probably wouldn't exist without them is so easy to access.
Two good alternatives if you don't give a shit about Orson Welles. Hearts of Darkness. That's the Apocalypse Now one. Fantastic documentary. And then Lost Souls. That's the making of the Island of Dr. Moreau, the 90s remake.
Oh yeah.
That is it
It's
is
a ride.
it is such a good
Was it
documentary.
Val Kilmer and who else were having an ego off?
Marlon Brando.
Oh my God.
They were hide in their trailers and they wouldn't come out until the other one came out.
Yeah.
And then you may have seen
What assholes.
for I guess if you ever seen South Park parody it, but Marlon Brando found like the smallest man of all time, like he was an extra or something, and he's like, "Him, he's in the movie now." And he just kept him. And the director's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "He's look him in every scene."
Well, the director who started it was fired.
yeah,
He was fired, and then they brought in this other guy who was just known for he's a finisher. He just finishes movies.
Yeah.
And so when Marlon Brando said that, he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just get in your spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd film it.
Well,
he didn't care.
and then that guy was like a star fucker, and he's like, "I just want to work with the great Marlon Brando." And by the end, he's like, "I want to kill myself because I don't
Yeah.
want to work with the great Marlon Brando." Even better, the director gets lost in the woods, finds some hippies to like hang out with, and then they're like, "Hey, they're filming some movies down the way. You want to go be in?" He's like, "You got it." And he was back on his own film set as an extra.
Yeah, they put him in like a donkey mask. And then he's in the scene in the background as one of the extras.
The movie, The
sounds
Islands
insane.
of Moreau is not good.
No.
But the documentary is so great, and
Yeah.
you learn so many things. It's like, oh, so anyway.
But it's not streaming on Netflix.
It might
Neither
be
of those.
actually. I think it is.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
Hearts of
it-
Darkness is not.
It is not, no. But the Lost Souls, I think, comes and goes. So if you happen to catch it in your region, please watch that one.
I don't think any of us have seen Roma.
Is it
but
out
I was,
yet?
I was-
Not yet.
No, it's been in theaters. I've been
right?
trying to go, but I refuse to sit in the
But
first
it's,
two rows.
why did you go to theaters? See it right at your theater at your home.
It's supposed to be one of the best movies of the year. Everyone I know that has seen it has loved it and kind of gushed about it.
Freed.
Yeah, Freed won't
he
shut
loved
up.
This is coming to Netflix.
This is the 14th.
Okay.
This is on Netflix, but it's been in theaters, at least in major markets like Los Angeles for
Yeah.
the past couple weeks, but has been like nearly sold out every time I've tried to go, which was all weekend long.
It's weird. It didn't say Harry Potter 3.
That's odd. That's an odd one. Or
The best one.
That was that.
Fight me.
or E Mama Tu Tabien.
I agree completely.
E2 Mama Tabian.
I think he made the most interesting Harry Potter movie. I
I
don't know.
agree.
I agree.
Again, Netflix attaching themselves to very interesting filmmakers instead of making Bright 2, which probably is also happening.
I'm telling you, it's because they just hand them a big check. And then
That's a good way
and
to
I'm
attract
sure
talent.
Alfonso Cuarón, who's won an Academy Award, right? Is
believe
is if he went to a studio with this, they would still give him notes and feedback. They'd write him the check, but he'd get notes and feedback. I'm sure he went to Netflix and he was like, "Hey, I want to do this," and they were like, "Okay." And he's like, "So when do you need the script?" They're like, "Nah, just go ahead. Here's the money." And they were probably like, "You kidding me?"
I'm sure it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
Where they go, show us a script and give us a budget and a timeline, and he goes, "Here you go," and then
That
I
they
mean, the
made
fact
that
that
Adam
it's in black
Sandler
and
deal.
white.
They did the Adam Sandler deal reportedly without any of the actual projects being in development. They just were
that I
like, "Adam, you
believe.
give us
Well,
5."
yeah,
Yeah.
because all your movies are the same anyway, so who cares?
That makes sense, like attaching to talent. I mean, Marvel does that where they go, Chris Hemsworth, we want 4 movies from you. Sign on for 4 movies. Like
He's like, "Oh, well, I don't know how to write."
not in that respect, obviously, but I mean, Adam Sandler, say what you will. I mean, he kind of churned out a lot of Adam Sandler content for them, but then he also made stuff like Sandy Wexler that people were like, "Oh, this is actually like not bad." I haven't seen it to comment on it, but yeah, like they're getting auteurs.
But I think they're luring them out because they're just saying like, "Hey, make your movie, no strings attached. We just want movie from you, good person."
I trust Alfonso.
Your buddy?
He's a good friend. I mean, fucking Children of Men is. I
great.
watched it not too long ago. That is one of the greatest films of all time. It is. I watch it again. Like if you haven't seen it in a while, I didn't realize. I saw Dan go, "Oh, what?"
No, it's just I'll move my head at such a
There, like that movie.
Statement.
I watched like. There was a weird time period where I think like that movie and Pan's Labyrinth came out. I was like, holy shit, movies are really good right now. And I enjoyed Gravity. I thought that was kind of more of a fun, stressful movie.
I thought Gravity was awesome.
Well,
In the theater, the experience in the movie
Yes.
theater, Gravity was incredible.
I think Children of Men is something that will be studied for many years and be interpreted in many different ways. And like film studies will be horny for that movie for a long time. And it's just, I don't know. It's such a bummer of a movie, but it's so well done.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I put it up there on my small mantle.
It does seem though that maybe they're Netflix is more protective of their shows than they are of their movies. Maybe it's just harder because I feel like you get way more mixed reaction from their television shows, like 13 Reasons Why or like Altered Carbon. Like seems like
Disenchantment.
different things like that. Like the show will come out and people are like, I don't know about that. That just might be by the nature of watching it and how you watch it. But sometimes television has to build.
That's because a
hype.
movie doesn't necessarily have to have a sequel, but with TV, it's implied that there's going to be another season.
It doesn't have to sustain quality.
Sure, yeah.
I get the weird thing with the TV shows, like Daredevil is an example. It's in its third season. Is someone telling them you need to hit that 1 hour runtime? Because it's Netflix, right? It could be as long as short as they want it to be, as long as it's an episode.
There might be some thought of, later when Daredevil airs somewhere else, possibly that it needs to fit.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I mean, it's like a hard hour.
I also think that just in terms of the technique of making something, the business is built around formats.
Mm-hmm.
So like in terms of story structure on the writing side, 1 hour plots are that's been cracked. Like we know what it looks like.
There's a little bit of a formula for an hour long.
And I don't know anyone that was happy when Sons of Anarchy was like, we're doing whatever we want.
Did that happen?
Yeah, like the last season or whatever, Sons of Anarchy, they were like, do whatever you want, bud. So he had episodes that were like 80 minutes long. It would just go on and on.
Wasn't Breaking Bad sort of that way too?
I think Game of Thrones, right? They have
Game
just
of Thrones.
random run times.
I'm curious if the question of Daredevil was maybe, well, this is a pseudo expensive show. The talent is getting increasingly more expensive, and we're not really. A lot of people are viewing it, but our catalog is big enough now that this isn't going to be this isn't the driver of an audience to Netflix, and maybe the returns aren't that, like, just because it's getting a ton of viewers doesn't mean it's making a ton of money.
True.
Necessarily. Like, I don't know what kind of merchandising deal, if any, they have struck with.
Netflix got a
Disney
cut
owns
on
all
that.
Absolutely. So it's like they might just be making a show that they're not making
It's not theirs.
money on. Yeah.
So they should invest in something that they actually get more of a cut on.
That they
Umbrella
could,
Academy or something
so
like
that might be what, like, really what it comes down to is like, we like the show a lot. A lot of people watch it, but
Well, the rumor is Disney sort of squeezed it out of them. Like the idea is that maybe they asked for too much money. That Disney said, "Okay, we'll relicense it to you, but it's going to go it's going to go up this high," and they just went, "Never mind." It won't get the return back. But then also, hey, Disney's doing its own streaming service, so don't be surprised. Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Pranisher and
What is this? But what does this mean for the Cloak and Dagger show?
Oh no.
Is it still on?
I mean, it wasn't on even on Netflix. It was on some
it
other
CW?
channel.
But what about
show?
the Runaways and what was
They
the
have
other?
a lot of movies.
The
and shows
Inhumans.
Yeah, I
There-
don't know.
going. Oh boy.
There were two movies that I felt like wouldn't have gotten made without Netflix or an Amazon or another streaming service stepping in and bankrolling them, and they are Mascots, the Christopher Guest movie. Because I don't know if that movie got made now, if it would have enough splash in a theater to recoup. And even though they're cheap movies, but and Pee-wee's Big Holiday
Yeah.
or big, what is it? Pee-wee's
Pee-wee's.
Big. Yeah, Pee-wee's Big Holiday.
Is the world a better place for those films?
I think so. I think Pee-wee's Big Holiday is delightful, and I don't think we would have gotten another Pee-wee.
I love Pee-wee.
movie.
It is weird seeing him as an old man.
Yeah, as old. Pee-wee.
It's always been creepy.
No,
Yeah.
old Pee-wee's fine.
It's still creepy.
Old Pee-wee
Love
when
it,
he
but
was
it's still
young.
creepy.
Yeah, I mean, young Pee-wee, I think, was passable. Because it's like, oh, okay, well, either he's supposed to be a kid or he's kind of like...
A man-child.
Yeah, he's like a guy in his 20s who's kind of like sheltered or whatever. But now he was like kind of wrinkled, and then when you put that makeup
I
on...
thought it was delightful. And I don't think those shows would exist.
Well, it's like Wet Hot
otherwise, or those
American
movies would
Summer.
exist.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever the quality, I will be happily living in a world where there's more of it.
Okay.
I will watch it if I want, and if it isn't good, it doesn't take away the fact that it's still some of the funniest movies, and that first season was one of the fucking funniest things I've ever seen.
That's how I kind of felt about Arrested Development, and after I couldn't finish the last season because I was just like, it just wasn't. It's like maybe we just let some things die, I guess.
Back on track real quick.
Okay.
Outlaw/King.
Yeah.
Am I the only person in the room that's seen this movie?
Yeah.
So you've seen Chris Pine's thinking?
What?
It's really far in the distance. It was
It
disappointing.
looks close to me.
You didn't get
You're
enough
up against
of it.
the screen.
I have a big TV. Outlaw/King, way better than I thought it would be.
It's called Outlaw/King.
Well, everyone's calling it Outlaw King. The credits in the movie come up, and it's Outlaw/King. And when you see it, that makes a lot more sense.
Oh,
So-
because he's an outlaw and a king.
Yes.
But not.
Not an
Either or
Outlaw
both.
King, even though that was the same. It works.
You know what? I'm always going to be happy for Chris Pine.
I like him.
Off in the distance. I don't think he's made anything where I've been like, F you, Chris Pine. He seems like a genuinely nice guy. He was hung over on a flight that I was on, and he seemed like a really nice person.
Still
You
a
banged
nice
Olivia
hangover.
Munn?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's
Claim
been
to fame.
inside some of my favorite people. I
but-
think he's a great Captain T. Kirk.
It's like a Braveheart light. It doesn't. The end is extremely epic, and there's parts of the movie that seem way too small for a Braveheart style film. But I don't know, just super fun, very enjoyable.
Okay.
Something that I don't know. The fact that it exists on Netflix, I think, is wonderful, and proves to me that they're doing fun and interesting.
This
work.
one, though, wasn't the story with this one that it was supposed to be? It wasn't a Netflix movie, I don't think. I think it was
they
being
claim
made.
it's original.
This
I think it was being made somewhere else, and then Netflix took over the
Yeah, because
production.
we should also clarify too. Like, not all these movies are movies that like Netflix, and an original is just sometimes distributed.
Yeah.
So like sometimes it's like
They're loose with that.
a company
term.
makes a movie and then sells it to Netflix.
or they just license something from Brazil.
yeah.
And this
Like
is its only.
3%.
But
or
I
whatever.
think the secret sauce there is Netflix doesn't want you to know.
Yeah.
They do a really good job of being like, Netflix presents a Cloverfield original movie when a studio had that movie made and they went, this is garbage.
Yeah.
And we can't put this out in theaters. Netflix went, what's that? Cloverfield? Ooh, gimme. And they started salivating, and then they added a monster at the end, and they said, yeah, it's Cloverfield, whatever, fine. Put it after the Super Bowl. That's a good idea. And it worked.
There was
Got a bunch of people watching it.
one of the trailers had a click out at the end of it that had Ellie from Jurassic Park,
Uh-huh.
and it said Netflix original. I'm like, I don't think Jurassic Park.
Maybe.
Going to see this this is where I think this movie is interesting in another way, is that going to see this in a theater and paying $15 to see this, I might have felt a little differently about it than watching it at night just on a random day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that contradicts James's point from earlier, or saying those walls are being torn down. But now, I think enough people go, yeah, Bright was fine. I got to watch it. You know, I pay $10 a month for Netflix, whatever,
Yeah, I watched it over 15 days.
Yeah. I fell
asleep 3 times
in
trying to
10-minute
watch that movie.
chunks.
on 3 different devices.
Yeah, I mean, as movies get more and more expensive, you pay for parking to pay for the movie, to get your wife the large popcorn, and it's like things add up. Extra butter, please. I'm so tired of saying that.
I think Netflix still has a ways to go before it is a box office juggernaut killer.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, to
They're
be
taking
fair,
steps,
the
though.
box office juggernauts are slowly going away. There's only the top 10 movies this year were all Disney. Yeah, so it's like,
You have
okay.
to spend $300 million on a movie to make it worthwhile.
I mean, even then, you also have to invest how many millions, if not billions, of dollars into original IP that you buy from someone else.
I also think what Netflix is doing is still an experiment. I think they're huge and they're making a ton of money, but I think they're also spending a lot of money too. So like all the financial reports are like, well, they're not profitable. I mean, obviously they're spending money, but it could crash and burn, and then Netflix is going to become this like embarrassing dumping ground for trash. Like,
Go back to the way it used to be.
this is we might be at the pinnacle of
Peak
how good
Netflix.
it gets, and
If they
then
don't
it
succeed.
could be all down from there.
So talk about a movie that I actually was real excited about, but really let down by, was Hold the Dark. Jeremy Saulnier, Green Room and Blue Ruin.
Murder Party.
Really, really cool
Party,
movie.
yeah.
I've never seen that.
Me neither. It was recommended to
It's-
me last week.
It's good. It's just not. I mean, it's pre-Saulnier,
Yeah,
to put
okay.
it in a very
Before he got his thing down.
elitist way.
So then what I heard just everyone said Hold the Dark is bad.
It was not very
It's
fun.
just I mean, you've seen Green Room and Blue Ruin.
I've seen only Green Room.
So you know how Green Room starts somewhere and then it builds real fast and then it holds this like excitement,
Pace.
tension throughout
Yeah.
to the very end of the movie, very final shot.
Yes.
Whereas Blue Ruin is slow build.
But it
and
gets
then
there
and then a
eventually,
spike at
yeah.
the end that's like, but it's still building. This is low, high, low, high, low. It's just like, it doesn't move seamlessly between two tense moments or whatever. It's just like something very tense happens. You're like, oh, okay. And then it goes into a huge lull. And you're like, ah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't care about the underlying mystery. Like, it never built tension. For
Yeah.
that.
Jeffrey
First-
Wright's great, but like
Uh.
I kept finding myself wondering why he didn't just walk away for most of this movie. Like just leave, dog.
Truthfully, like I love Jeremy Saulnier, but I really thought that I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which is a Netflix original. It's Macon Blair, who he's in Green Room. He's the star in Blue Ruin, and he like kind of did Blue Ruin with Jeremy Saulnier. He made I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, and it feels more like a Jeremy Saulnier movie than this does. So that would be my recommendation. Instead of watching Hold the Dark, go watch I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which is also, like I said, an original.
Will do.
also Infinity War is coming out on Netflix in like around Christmas.
Oh yeah, so Adam says watch Infinity War.
Yeah, you know, have you heard of this little indie gem? It's based on
See,
a.
look, that's Netflix original films, and then it was
Yeah, that's
Jurassic
odd.
Park.
All right.
well.
Anyway, let's talk about Evangelion now.
Jeremy Saulnier, I did just learn today while doing a little bit of research for this. He's directing the first couple episodes of season 3 of True Detective.
Yeah.
That seems like a good combo.
Seems like it.
They split on creative differences. I guess he started maybe doing the 3rd episode and then quit the show.
Uh-oh.
I think
Good
Nick
sign.
Pizzolatto might be a real asshole. A lot of people seem to have trouble with him.
Jeremy Saulnier is also like a pretty scrappy dude. If you hear him talk about his movies, he's like, yeah, I mortgaged my house to
Oh,
make,
Jesus.
that movie.
Never do that.
I double
Worked
mortgaged it. And so him going to something like Netflix to me feels like his first big step into making a bigger studio film.
Well, I think each of his movies seem to have gotten progressively larger and
A
bigger
little
budget.
bit, because like Green Room takes place, just in a club,
Mm-hmm.
a dingy club. Like this feels like the biggest,
Mhm. Yeah,
definitely,
absolutely.
of everything that he's done. And Murder Party's like in a warehouse. Like they're all sort of these Blue Ruins, kind of like in a like house, sort of countryside.
Yeah.
Like they're all sort of like single location.
Bottle episodes, we call them,
But
in the industry.
and I wonder sometimes for certain like directors and creators if that works against them in some way, where like you open the floodgates and they're like, oh, I'm taking outside of my realm, which is this.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I mean, absolutely.
Stepping
yeah.
a little too far, maybe.
I
So
love them.
the last time we did a Netflix show, or Filmhouse talking a lot about Netflix, Adam said Netflix was dead and it was over because
Is
they
this
were going to
true?
run
Yeah.
ads.
Is this true?
And
Adam.
everybody,
I may have been, there's maybe words put in my mouth, but I will accept it. I accept my fate.
you didn't really say that,
Oh,
but
okay.
I guess the premise was people on the internet were freaking out and saying Netflix was over because they were starting to do ads. I haven't seen a fucking ad.
Oh
on
yeah,
Netflix.
I haven't either.
They were essentially creating ad space to promote their own content on their own platform. But they said that's not an ad. It is an ad. It's just ad space that you own and you control. But yeah, there wasn't like a commercial for Gillette or anything like that. It's I don't
but
think
is
that's
Maybe
the
it's
kind of
invisible because of that. Maybe I'm not noticing
Well,
because
but
it just seems like regular.
There are
Netflix.
some times where you'll finish watching an episode of Cheers. I'm just saying hypothetically, not that that's what I often do. And then instead of just immediately rolling you in to the next episode, like normally it would say next episode starting in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It'll pop up into the upper left hand and then run a trailer for something.
So you have seen this while watching Cheers.
I don't know if
tonight.
this is what it counts as their ads,
I think
but
that's it.
It pops up and then it runs a trailer for something that you're not watching and then has a longer countdown of like 15 seconds before it goes to the next episode of the thing that you're watching. I have seen that.
Well,
but
that
it,
was like-
it does, again, in their defense, don't feel like an ad because it's at the end and you can hit a button and then you just immediately start the next thing anyway.
Don't feel like an ad.
And sometimes Netflix, based off your viewing habits, keeps you. It's like Google. It like keeps you in this like really boring cycle. Like Google Music, I'm like, I appreciate what you're doing, but just throw me something that you don't know that I'll like because I want to see. I want to test my boundaries. Netflix, sometimes you're like scrolling through your recommends and you're like, Gods of Egypt. Like, yes, I like it.
Yeah.
But we could show me something else maybe.
Knows what you want.
So Netflix didn't end because they started doing that.
They will.
that's
I don't
what it
think. I
is.
don't think. I think Netflix is unlike what that writer thought of Daredevil is too big to fail.
Oh, poor
No,
guy.
that's what the guy said. He's like, I thought Daredevil was too big to fail. Like
Yeah.
nothing's too big to
Yeah,
fail.
I don't think
dude.
it failed. I would.
I think there's
failure seems like the wrong word.
It's
to
not
describe what
renewed.
happened.
I think Disney was circling their
We've
wagons.
all
a
been
little
there.
bit.
I think there's some other it's not as cut and dry as I think anyone thinks it is. But I honestly do believe Netflix, because much like Steam from Valve, I think they just make so much money off of their base, and I'm going to assume their overhead's pretty minimal compared to most companies, especially since they're mostly an online digital platform, that they're just making so much money. So I don't think we're going to see Netflix going anywhere anytime soon.
And I hope in the next year they improve as much as they did between this year and last, and continue to do that.
I think one of my favorite things that Netflix has done is reach internationally to add programming. Like being a licensee of a bunch of international programming, like Elise and I are watching Great British Baking Show.
Oh, Great
Yeah,
British
like-
Bake Off.
That is a wonderful show.
Yeah,
If you need
but
to feel
like-
a little better about yourself.
But like again, other things where it's like if you're just watching traditional television, you'd never this show would never pop into your radar ever.
I think there's a lot of European crime shows that are
Yeah.
on
Oh,
Netflix
God.
that seem very intriguing.
The European small town detective mystery is like my
That's
one of my
genre?
favorite genres.
Everyone's
I
got a
love it.
secret.
I love it. James is always like, another one? I'm like, yes.
Always starts with some sort of woman or child dying.
Crying. Yeah, and then
No.
someone's crying.
Yeah.
I still do believe, though, Netflix is quantity over quality, whereas HBO is still quality over quantity.
I'll buy that, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple. Can I shout out some movies?
Yeah, shout out some other movies, Louise.
Okja.
Okja?
Okja.
Okja.
I don't want to see that thing die.
Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond, the Andy Kaufman,
Yeah.
Jim Carrey
Yeah.
doc. Apostle, I thought was like pretty good.
Solid like 7.5.
Incredible Jessica James is a good light uplifting movie. The Babysitter, which
yeah.
shouldn't be as fun, and it's a
McGee's
scary
back.
movie.
Some say
um,
never left.
Lady Gaga's 5'2"
Hell yeah.
is a fun documentary. James loves Icarus.
Oh yeah, Icarus
What's Icarus?
documentary. That won an Academy Award, didn't it?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Icarus
Game
went
Over
on a
Man was
long-
great, by the way.
Oh, was
I
it?
expected this to be fucking stupid. And
Yeah,
I really
I
enjoyed
didn't know.
the 75 minutes, or super fast, but
Oh.
fun little comedy.
Icarus is the story of a guy who just on a whim decides to dope and then enter a cycling competition to see if he'd win.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I don't care if they find out. I don't care. I'm not a career cyclist. What does it matter? They'll ban me. But he wanted to test, so he basically
pretty well, right?
followed himself going through the process of how he gets the drugs and how he's going to get someone to test him. And then he's ultimately referred to this Russian guy who's like, yeah, I'll oversee your whole process. Except that it's the Russian guy who's in charge of the entire Russian laboratory of doping.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a little weird. And he's like, yeah, it's just what I do for the Russian teams all the time. And he's like, well, this documentary just changed.
Yeah, it does. It takes a pretty hard turn.
Yeah.
About 30 minutes in.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
More shout outs?
Is that
get
it? Benson
interrupted?
shout out?
Does anyone watch that Dogs show?
No,
There's
Not
a show
yet,
called
because I don't know
Dogs.
if it's going to destroy
Oh
me
yeah,
or not.
I think by the time this airs, maybe a little before, all the Airbuds movies are being taken off Netflix. So get in
Oh,
while
no.
you can.
But it's by the time this airs. So you've
Movies
Maybe. I'm unsure of the date.
movies with a ton of
Yeah, it's not looking good.
buzz that I'm interested in, just haven't gotten to yet, are Beast of No Nation, the
Great.
Meyerowitz stories, Roma, obviously we talked about, 13th. I still feel bad I haven't seen
That's
that.
good, really good movie.
Cuba and the Cameraman. I haven't
About
seen it
Cuba
yet.
Gooding Jr.?
It's about Cuba Gooding
so.
Jr.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's
All right.
Okay.
you know, you got stuff to watch.
You got your weekend all checked out.
Stay in this weekend.
Watch 45 films.
Wish I could.
But yeah, anyway, closing thought. I think Netflix is great. I want them to keep getting better, as I think they've proven this year that they are constantly getting better.
Yeah, the typical underdog story.
Netflix and chill is like a thing for like when you're actually, having sex. What's the term for when you're having sex but you're actually thinking about what you could be watching on Netflix? Sex and chill. Oh well.
All right. Say bye, Benson. No. Bye. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Yeah, they released the trailer. Yeah,
We did it.
finally.
Is this an old message?
Hawkeye's back.
Well, I like the idea that he's so behind that he's like, I'm looking for Thanos. And then he's like killing Yakuza, and they're like, no.
Thanos is long
Got him.
gone.